All right. Hey, welcome everybody to my Feather the Redeemed EDH deck. As soon as I saw this guy spoiled, I knew that I wanted to build around him. He looked like he'd be a lot of fun. And for the most part, I was right. I really enjoy playing this deck. I will say this does require quite a bit of knowledge and interaction to pilot the deck. So if you got that down, then this is a deck for you. And there's a lot of shenanigans that require a lot of thinking. And it's a Voltron build, in my opinion. And like I said, it requires you to have a good knowledge of the game as steps end and begin and all that stuff, and when to cast things. So if you got all that down, be ready to win a lot of games with this deck. We can actually lock out our opponents if we get certain cards in our hand. So anyways, we'll get started. So as you guys already know, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets any creature we control, we exile that card, and at the end step of that turn, we put it back in our hand. And keep in mind, we can do that through each player's turns, if it's at instant speed or whatnot. But even if Feather's not on the field, those cards still trigger at the end step. So keep that in mind, unless something else is preventing them to come back to our hand. But even if, as long as they resolve and you casted them, they do come back. So keep that in mind. So without further ado, we'll get started. We'll get into the lands. I'm running 12 planes. Let me get these out of the way here. Nothing fancy, just basics. All right, I'm running 10 mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get these out of the way. All right, so 10 mountains. Now we'll get into some of the fetches. Let me get this to zoom. All right, we got Arid Mesa, Bloodstained Mire, Marsh Flats, Flooded Strand, Scalding Tarn. All right, now we'll get into some of the utility lands. Amerius and the Sky Ruin. This deck is kind of grindy. We grind our opponents out and pretty much lock everybody down and pretty much take over the game. So this card in the late game really does come in handy. If you have 7 more planes, you can return a target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So a really grindy card. Reliquary Tower, really important in this deck because we want no maximum hand size. Through our draw spells and draw engines, we're going to have a lot of cards in our hand, and this is really vital to the deck. And I think I'm actually running another rock that allows us to have no maximum hand size. I just didn't want to count on one thing, wanted multiple things, so that's why that guy's in there. Ancient Tomb, Standard Ramp, Homeward Path. Feathers, like I said, it's a Voltron deck, so Feathers really important to protect them, and this is one of the ways we can protect them. Alright, Commander Tower, everybody knows Commander Tower. Sacred Foundry, Shockland, everybody knows. Medieval Plains, remember we're running a bunch of fetches, and this is one of the cards we can go get because it says Plains right there. Alright, so it reads, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Activate this ability only if you control 2 or more white permanents. Really easy to do. So once we get this card on the field, we get it going right away. Soul Ring, taps for 2. Now we're getting into some of the rocks here. So everybody knows Soul Ring. Alright, Boral Signet. We want our lands to be able to tap for color. So even some of our utility lands that tap for colorless, we want to be able to make them tap for color. So that's why I put this guy in there. All right, Thought Vessel, the other no maximum hand size card that I was referring to earlier. It's a 2-drop rock, taps for colorless, but hey, you know, the no maximum hand size is really important on the card, so that's why it's in there. Boral's Locket, taps for Boral's colors, of course, but you know, if we need to dig for some answers, we get to draw 2 cards by sacking it, so that's why it's in there. Alright, Gilded Lotus taps for 3 of any one color, so really good in this deck for our shenanigans that we do. We want to make sure we never run out of mana and have mana up at all times to protect Feather. All right, into the enchantments, which is our only enchantment, and it's a good one, land tax. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, rebuild them, put them into your hand, shuffle your library. So this helps us thin out our deck really quickly and make sure that we're drawing those instants and sorceries that really make this deck go. So this helps us thin out our deck quite a bit. Mirage Mirror. If you guys have seen any of my videos, you guys know how I feel about this card. It's so versatile. Like I said, whenever our opponents are doing shenanigans, we're going to do them right with them. And this card helps out a lot with it. So I'm going to put this off to the side. Alright, here's another key card. Veilstone Amulet. Whenever you play a spell, creatures you control can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control. That is really key, guys. With this deck, we're going to be casting a ton of instants and sorceries. So, no matter what, if they try to target, it doesn't matter what the instant or sorcery says, our creatures are protected. So, if they want to get to Feather, now they have to go through another step before they can get to Feather with a Veilstone Amulet in the way. So, really good card. Pyromancer's Goggles. Whenever you use the mana that it taps for 1 red, you get to copy a red instant or sorcery spell. So that's really key. So we say we're using a draw spell. Now we get to draw 2 cards off of that or whatever it might be. So really good card at copying our instants and sorceries, and can get out of hand really quickly with this card. Alright, Skull Clamp. When we get to the creatures, you'll see we have a lot of token producers. And the reason why is for stuff like Skull Clamp, where we can attach it and draw 2 cards. That's really key. So this is pretty much in there as a draw engine. When we get to the creatures, you'll see why. Sword of the Animus. So I like this card again. We're thinning out our deck. And even though we're running Boros colors, we're still finding other ways to ramp. And if you think about it, every time one of our creature that is equipped with the Sword of the Animus, we get to search for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield tapped. So even though we're running Boros colors, we're finding other ways to ramp. Alright, Swiftfoot Boots. You notice that Greaves isn't in here. I'm not running Greaves, I'm running Boots. Reason being, let me get this to focus. Reason we're not running Greaves and Boots is because Greaves is hexproof, which means we can still target the creature that is equipped, which we need to do. We need to be able to target the creature with our spells and abilities, so we get the exile ability and it returns to our hand at the end of turn. So with Greaves, as you know, it has Shroud and we're unable to do that. So Swords of Feast and Famine. Protection from black and green, so we can swing at those creatures and they're unable to block. And the whole reason behind that is we want to be able to untap our lands, keep mana up for whatever shenanigans we might need to do to protect Feather. So really good card in this deck. Sunforger, probably the single most important equipment. Not only is Feather going to get +4/0, but when we attach it, we can unattach at instant speed. So keep that in mind. If we don't have an answer for whatever's coming our way, we can unattach and go search our library, as long as that a white or red instant has a CMC 4 or less. So really good card, and we can go do all these shenanigans at instant speed. So Sunforger, really key card. Alright, again, we're finding other ways to ramp, and here's another card that helps us do that. Tithe. So when the game starts, if we're not going first, if we have this in our opening hand and we have the mana to cast it, the guy starts his turn 2, we target him once he lays down the land, because we have 1 and he has 2 now. So, and we get to go searching for an extra plains. So really good card, finding other ways to ramp, like I said. Alright. Sorcery card. This is just in here for draw. Target creature can't block this turn, but that might be something we might need to use. Maybe we got a flying death toucher in the way or something, and we say, hey, that guy can't block, and we're going to draw a card. But if we do that, we don't get it back, so we have to target Feather with it. Alright. Wow. Again, it's just in there for card draw. We'll target Feather. We'll do 1 damage to him. He's not going to die. And we're going to draw a card. Alright, Twin Flame. Remember I said, whatever our opponents do, we're going to do. So, say we have Mirage Mirror. Maybe we copied one of their creatures with Mirage Mirror. Now we're going to make a copy. Say it's an ETB trigger, you know. Now we're going to get that ETB when we turn Mirage Mirror into whatever that ETB might be. And now we're going to get a creature doing whatever they were doing. So I like cards like that, cards that can do different things, even though, you know, or maybe we want to create a token of one of our dudes to maybe equip Skull Clamp or something to draw 2 cards. So always be on your feet and always be thinking of different ways you can use different cards. Seize the Day. We can use this card over and over. Imagine as much mana as you can get, you can keep using this card. So multiple combats, you know. So just a really good card. We're going to keep tacking and it's going to keep coming back to our hand. Fell of the Mighty. Let me get this to zoom, guys. Oh, there we go. Fell of the Mighty, 5-drop sorcery. Destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. So another board wipe, and we get to keep our Voltron guy, which is a feather. And guess what? It comes back to our hand, so now we're locking down the board. Same thing with Chandra's Ignition. Same as Fell of the Mighty. Kind of does the same thing. Except now what? It looks like it's dealing to opponent too, so even better. Alright, now we'll get into some of the instants. Target creature gains haste, and till end of turn, draw a card. So the haste might be important, might not, but the draw card definitely is. We're not running out of cards at all. Same thing. Crimson Wisp, another draw card. Alright, Magnetic Theft. So that card's really key. Once we get all our equipment, we can, instead of paying 3 to equip, we can pay 1. So it's not as big of a mana sink, and we can unattach at instant speed and get all these instants that we need in our hand. So Magnetic Theft, really good card at helping us get the answers we need when it comes to Sunforger. Alright, Strength of Arms. Target creature gets +2/2 to end of turn. If you control an equipment, put a 1/1 white token onto the field. So as you saw, we have quite a bit of equipments, and we're actually running other ways to go search for those equipments when we get later on into some of the other instances. And to get Feather +2/2 and get a token out of it, just a really good value. Defiant Strike, another card draw and a little bit of aggro. Give them +1 and draw a card. Path to Exile, whether it's our dude or their dude. Again, if you think about it, once we start producing tokens, we can actually target one of our creatures. Since we target one of our creatures, Path to Exile exiles, comes back to our hand. But what do we get to do? We get to search our library for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield tap. So again, another way to ramp if we have to, or if we actually have to use it on our opponent's creatures, we can do that as well. Alright, Johnny's Present. Any number of target creatures each get +1/1 and gain indestructible. At best, we protect Feather from board wipes. If someone wants to clear the board, give them indestructible. It doesn't affect us, and we get a +1/1 on them. And if we have more mana, we can protect other creatures too. So a really good card. Cloud Shift. This is a blink effect. We have some creatures that we might want to blink, and when we get to the creatures, you'll see why. This card is pretty key. So, or not only that, blink Feather and to protect them. Alright, search your library for an artifact or enchantment card, reveal that card, shuffle it into, put it on top of your library, and then, so with this card, we'll probably go search for Sunforger, depending on where we are in the game, or maybe even land tax or something. So, a really good card. Let's go search for answers. Alright, attacking creature, Moldovan Rage. Target attacking creature gets +XO. Even if we cast it just for 1, X is 0, no big deal. But at the end step, we get to draw a card. And it can be a finisher if we pump mana into it to do commander damage with Feather or whatnot. But worst case scenario, we get a draw out of it, which is really key. Alright. Apostle's Blessing. Target artifact or creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice. So, worst case scenario, we keep that guy, so they wasted a removal spell, and he protects our creatures anyways because we casted that and we protected this. So now, hey, they're back to square one on trying to get rid of that card. Or we just get feather protection. Doesn't matter. We swing and they can't block. Alright, Spawning Breath deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Put an 0/1 Eldrazi onto the field. So this can help with ramp. Or if we need a chump blocker at the time, that's what we do. We can cast at instant speed and they think they're going to get through, and all of a sudden, hey, we block, you know. So they don't see that coming, so it's kind of cool. And if we need the again to target something with maybe Path to Exile or something to get extra land, we can do that as well. So again, we're up to our shenanigans there. Alright, target multicolored creature gains double strike, draw a card. So a really effective card. We get to do double commander damage and we get to draw a card. Impact Renaissance. Impact Renaissance deals X damage divided as they choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the greatest amount of damage dealt. So, alright. So, let's say someone's swinging with the 2020. They're not swinging at us. We'll deal 1 to feather, and whatever they did to that opponent, we're going to deal some more damage to that player as well. So, really cool card. Really, again, just really good shenanigans. So could be a game finisher. So really key card. All right, Feat of Resistance. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control against protection from the color of your choice till end. All right, again, if they have a blocker that we can't deal with, we can still get through by giving them protection from that color or that creature, and we get a 1/1 on there. So, all right. So this card here is meant to be played ideally for 4 mana. All right, because you see at the bottom it says escalate. So the first we get to choose one mode, which we have to, if we want it back in our hand, we're going to choose to untap 2 target creatures, right? And then the second one would be maybe they sack target opponent's sacks an attacking creature, which is also key. They come at us or they come at anybody. So again, shenanigans. Let's say 2 opponents are duking it out, right? And one guy's attacking with a key creature, and the other one's tapped. Maybe a Death Toucher is tapped. So what we do is we'll target Feather, and we'll target maybe their Death Toucher, and we'll take out a key creature that we didn't even intend to. You know, it was between them, but now we kind of got in the middle of it. So now maybe we'll have a bullseye on our back. But if we sink 4 into it, and maybe they'll have to sack another creature. So we, you know, just think of different ways to use these cards, and it's just fun. All right, Shelter. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Draw a card. Again, a protection spell if we need to protect Feather, and we're drawing a card. All right. Long Road Home. Exile target creature at the beginning of the next end step. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter. Alright, so again, a board wipe comes. We respond and we cast this. We exile Feather, and then at the end step he enters. So the board wipe resolves and he comes back at the end step. So we're good to go again. Oops, what fell here? Let me see. Alright, Valorous Stance. Alright, so it's the first mode is target creature gains indestructible. So again, board wipe comes, we protect Feather. Removal comes, we protect Feather, giving them indestructible. Or if we straight need to just take out a creature, we can use that too. Bathe in Light. Alright, so this is a straight win con. Read it. Choose a color. Target creature and each other creature that shares a color with it gains protection from the chosen color till end of turn. So, whether they're white or red creatures, we're swinging and we're getting through because we're going to give protection to whatever our opponents control. And so this is just a game finisher if you think about it. Alright. Aurelius Fury. Aurelius Fury deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players tap. So we can tap down their dudes and then they can't cast spells. So ideally, when you want to cast this, if you know you got a bullseye on your back for whatever reason, because you're a threat or whatever, or maybe it's just between you and the final player, Do it before he untaps. Don't give him the mana to do whatever he wants. You know, so cast this card before he untaps. So play it smart. Alright, Intimidation Bolt deals 3 damage to target creature with, and then so essentially it's a fog. If this resolves, it's a fog, you know, and it comes back to hand over and over. So by targeting Feather. So it's another lockdown piece. Oblation. So we're gonna, when we get to our creatures, we're gonna be producing a lot of tokens, and at worst case scenario, we're drawing 2 cards, you know, or if we really need to deal with a permanent, we'll have the person shuffle it back into the library. But ideally, it's just there to draw a couple cards. All right. Fairy Interlude. Exile any number of target creatures you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under owner's control. So again, if we need blinking effects, this helps. Or if a board wipe comes, we can protect all our creatures if need be. So we keep our creatures and they lose their creatures. So just an awesome card. All right. Soulsfire. Target creature you control and play deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So this can be a constant removal spell if once we pump Feather up, whether it be with swords or whatever to pump them up. So, and if need be, we'll just go to face. And we get to do it over and over. Alright, now we're getting into some of the creatures. Akron Crusader, whenever we cast a spell that targets him, put a 1/1 soldier onto the field. So again, these are the little token makers I was talking about, so we can target them to do our little shenanigans. Alright, Vanguard of Burmese, same thing. Whenever we cast a spell that targets him, put a 1/1 creature. Alright, now this guy's really key. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Phalanx Leader, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So he's building up our army for us, giving them 1/1 counters. Alright, Young Pyromancer, whenever you cast a source spell, create a 1/1 dude. Alright, now we're getting to some of our damage creatures. Electrostatic Field, whenever we cast an insert sorcery spell, deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we can do multiple things. Say we got Sword of Feast and Famine, we're untapping their land, so we're doing it on, you know, on our turn, and then we're untapping. So just a really good card. All right, Firebrand Archer, similar to Electrostatic Field. All right, Thermal Alchemist. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you get to untap them, so you get to do multiple damage. So before we cast our first spell, we'll cast a spell, untap. So think about it. We could do 3 damage in a turn just with this guy, with him, and then we get to do it on our opponent's turn, say if we got swords. So this card can get out of hand really quickly. Alright, Goldmire, just a little mana dork, and if we need to use them for one of our shenanigans, we can use them. Alright, same thing with Ironmire, taps for red. Gutter Snipe. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell, he deals 2 damage to each opponent. So even better than those other guys we just showed. Now he's dealing 2. Alright, remember I was talking about the blinking effects? Duergar Hedge Mage, I hope I said that correctly. When he comes into play, if you control 2 or more mountains, you may destroy target artifact. And the same goes for 2 or more planes, you may destroy target enchantment. Alright, so if we got stuff that counts as both and we blink them, we're destroying 1 of each. Alright, so that's why we got those blinking effects. We can target him and blink it, and then we keep all the artifacts and enchantments off the board that we want. So, good card. Alright, Monastery Mentor. Same thing as the other ones. Whenever we cast a spell that, just in general, we get 1/1 creatures, except these creatures got prowess, and so does Monetary Swiftspear. So again, these little dudes can get pumped up, and they can start taking over the game for us. Alright, another way to ramp here, Boreas Charger. He's a flyer, so that's good too. 2/1 body. Whenever he leaves the battlefield, choose an opponent who controls more lands than us. We search our library for that number of plains cards equal to the difference, reveal them, put them onto the battlefield tapped. Again, blinking effects. If we have to blink them, we can do that all day. Alright, Sad Robot. I believe this is in Spanish or Portuguese. But we all know what Sad Robot does, right? When he enters, we search for basic. When he leaves, we draw a card. or when he dies, actually, same thing. All right. Hadron Grinder. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets him, we do it for each other creature we control. And then we copy those spells. So if we're doing drawing shenanigans, we're going to draw a ton of cards. That's why the no maximum hand size is really key. Now we got probably every possible answer for whatever our opponents can do in our hand, but with this guy. So Mirrorwing Dragon, pretty much the same thing as Zada that you just saw there. And again, we're up to our old shenanigans again. Acron Conscriptor. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Acron Conscriptor, gain control of another target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste. So ideally, we want to gain control of whatever creature our opponent has and during our first main phase, and that way we can smack our opponents with their own creatures. So a really good card. All right, Balefire Liege. Other red creatures you control, 1/1. Other white creatures, 1/1. Whenever you cast the red spell, he deals 3 damage to target player. Whenever we cast the white spell, we gain 3 life. Just a versatile card. He's going to pump up all our dudes, especially Feather, and now we're smacking people for even more damage. So great card. All right, Charmbreaker Devil. At the beginning of your upkeep, we turn an instant or sorcery spell at random from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, we pump them up plus 4/0 till end of turn. So really good card. If we have one of our key instants or sorceries, they get countered. This is one way we can get them back, along with some of the other lands, if you remember, that we showed earlier. So that concludes my deck tech. Like I said, he's a Voltron build. You want to get them out. You want to make sure you find ways to protect them. Gain card advantage by constantly drawing cards. And like I said, just take over the game, protect them, keep them on the field, chump block all day. Remember some of those spells where we shut down casting. They can't cast anything. We shut down stuff like attacking. So just a really good Voltron build. And let me know if you guys have any questions, and please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel. I want to keep making these videos. I really enjoy doing them. So hey, until the next one, we'll catch you guys later. Go out there and win.